It was a day the world would never forget. The air in Washington, D.C. felt charged with a strange kind of electricity, as if the city itself knew something historic was about to unfold. Crowds stretched as far as the eye could see, their voices rising in anticipation as the sun cast a golden hue over the Capitol steps. Flags waved in every direction, and reporters scrambled to capture the perfect shot. The stage was set for Donald J. Trump's return. Trump emerged from the grand doors of the Capitol, his iconic red tie swaying slightly in the breeze. He raised his hand, giving his trademark wave, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Behind him, a figure almost as polarizing stepped into view: Elon Musk. The billionaire tech mogul, known for his disruptive ideas and unfiltered thoughts, walked calmly in Trump's shadow, his hands in his pockets and a faint unreadable smirk on his face. The pairing seemed odd to many. What was Elon Musk doing at Trump's side during such a pivotal moment? Speculation had been rampant for weeks ever since rumors of their private meetings began circulating. But as Trump approached the podium, none of that mattered. The moment had arrived. "Ladies and gentlemen," Trump began, his voice carrying the confidence of a man who had stood on this stage before. "Today, we begin a new chapter for this country, one of strength, prosperity, and most importantly, freedom." The crowd roared in approval. Trump paused, basking in the energy before continuing. "And, standing beside me, is a man who represents the innovation and forward-thinking spirit of this nation. Elon Musk, ladies and gentlemen, is not just a businessman. He is a symbol of what America can achieve when we dream big." Musk nodded slightly, his expression stoic, but his presence commanding. The camera zoomed in, capturing every detail of his face as he stepped closer to the podium. For a moment, it seemed as though he might speak, but he didn't. Instead, he leaned toward Trump and whispered something that even the microphones couldn't catch. Whatever he said made Trump smile. A rare, genuine smile that was as curious as it was disarming. But it wasn't just the crowd watching. From a balcony high above, a pair of sharp, observant eyes studied the scene below. Joe Biden, the outgoing president, stood silently, his hands clasped behind his back. His face was unreadable, but there was a weight in his posture that hinted at a deeper story. The public didn't know about the meeting that had taken place just hours earlier. A meeting so secret that even the closest aides had been left in the dark. In the hours leading up to the rally, Trump, Musk, and Biden had gathered in a dimly lit room beneath the Capitol. The room, known only to a select few, was used for high-level discussions during times of national crisis. The tension was palpable as the three men sat around a small circular table. The silence was broken only by the faint hum of the overhead lights. Biden was the first to speak. "Donald, this is going to change everything." Trump leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "That's the point, Joe. Change is what this country needs." Biden's gaze shifted to Musk, who had been unusually quiet. "Why are you here? What's your angle in all this?" Biden's tone was sharp. Musk looked up, his expression calm but his eyes sharp. "My angle?" he said, almost amused. "Joe, I think we both know I'm not the kind of man who needs an angle. I'm here because I believe in solutions. And frankly, the two of you represent opposite sides of a problem that's gone unresolved for too long." Biden frowned. "What problem?" Musk leaned forward, folding his hands on the table. "The problem of leadership. This country doesn't need more division. It needs direction, and between the two of you, I think we can find it." Trump laughed, breaking the tension. "See, Joe, even Elon knows I am the answer." Biden shook his head, his frustration evident. "This isn't a game, Donald. The decisions we make here will affect millions of lives." "And that's exactly why I'm stepping back in," Trump replied firmly. "You had your turn, Joe, and look where we are. It's time to fix the mess." The room fell silent again. Musk leaned back in his chair, studying both men as if calculating his next move. Finally, he spoke. "If we're going to do this, it has to be different this time. No more empty promises, no more partisan nonsense. The American people deserve better." Trump and Biden exchanged a look filled with years of rivalry and mutual disdain, but also a grudging respect. For the first time, it seemed they were truly listening to one another. Back on stage, Trump continued his speech, his words flowing with the practiced rhythm of a seasoned orator. The crowd hung on every syllable, their energy feeding his confidence. Musk stood beside him, silent but commanding attention nonetheless. As Trump reached the climax of his address, he turned toward Musk and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the future of America isn't just about politics. It's about innovation, courage, and the willingness to dream bigger than we ever have before. And that's exactly what Elon Musk represents." The applause was deafening. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously, and social media lit up with speculation. But amidst the chaos, a small, subtle moment passed almost unnoticed. From his position on the balcony, Biden nodded slightly. His lips curved into the faintest of smiles. It wasn't approval, but it wasn't disdain either. It was something far more complicated, recognition of sorts. As the rally concluded and Trump stepped off the stage, Musk followed closely behind. Reporters shouted questions, but neither man answered. Instead, they exchanged a brief, knowing glance before disappearing into a waiting black SUV. What had been said in that private meeting? What plans had been laid, and what truths had been exchanged? The world would likely never know. But one thing was certain. This was just the beginning of a story that would reshape the nation in ways no one could yet predict. As the black SUV pulled away from the Capitol, leaving the roaring crowd and the stage behind, the city seemed to hold its breath. Inside the vehicle, the atmosphere was thick with a strange mix of triumph and calculation. Trump sat back in the plush leather seat, his arms crossed, a satisfied smirk playing on his lips. Across from him, Musk stared out the window, his fingers tapping rhythmically on his knee, his mind seemingly miles away. "You played that beautifully," Trump said, breaking the silence. "They eat it up every time." Musk didn't respond immediately. His eyes remained on the city streets as they blurred past, the faint glow of neon signs reflecting in the glass. Finally, he turned to Trump. "You are underestimating them," Musk said. Trump raised an eyebrow. "Underestimating who?" "The people," Musk replied simply. Trump let out a low chuckle. "Oh, come on, Elon. I've been in this game long enough to know exactly how to read a crowd. They don't want nuance. They want a show." Musk's lips curled into a faint smile. "Maybe, but a show only works if the audience believes in the story. You're good at selling the story, Donald, but you have to deliver something real this time." Trump leaned forward, his expression hardening slightly. "And that's where you come in, isn't it? You're the visionary, the innovator, the guy with all the big ideas. I've got the platform, and you've got the plans. Together, we make it happen." Musk tilted his head, studying Trump for a moment. "That's the theory," he said. "But theories don't always hold up in practice." Trump waved a hand dismissively. "Details. That's what people like you are for." Musk's smile faded, and for a moment the air between them grew tense. "Let me make one thing clear," Musk said, his voice low but firm. "I didn't agree to this to be your sidekick or your pawn. If we're doing this, it's on my terms. Real change, real progress. No shortcuts, no cheap tricks." Trump leaned back, a glint of amusement in his eyes. "You've got guts, I'll give you that, but don't forget who's driving this bus." Musk's gaze didn't waver. "And don't forget who's building the engine." Meanwhile, back at the Capitol, Biden sat alone in the private room where the three men had met just hours earlier. The weight of the day pressed heavily on his shoulders, and for the first time in years, he felt truly uncertain. He had spent his career navigating the murky waters of politics, mastering the art of compromise and resilience. But this was something else entirely. The door creaked open, and his chief of staff stepped in cautiously. "Sir, the press is asking for a statement," the aide said. Biden waved a hand dismissively. "Tell them I'll speak tomorrow. I need time to think." The aide hesitated. "Sir, with all due respect, the narrative is already running wild. If you don't say something soon, they'll fill in the gaps themselves." Biden sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "Let them. For once, I think it's better if I stay out of it." As the aide left, Biden's thoughts drifted to the meeting. The strange alliance between Trump and Musk. Was this the future of America? A country led by a man who thrived on chaos and a billionaire who played the game by his own rules. It was a dangerous combination, but it was also a potent one. And as Biden sat there in the silence of the room, he couldn't help but wonder if the worst was yet to come.